My late grandma's lawyer called. I inherited her $80 million estate with one condition. When my grandma's lawyer called and told me I had inherited her entire $80 million estate, I honestly thought it was a scam. I barely knew my grandma, but then the lawyer added something strange. In order to claim the inheritance, I had to live alone in her mansion for 30 days. If I left the property even once before the 30 days were over, I would lose everything. Then she told me the part that made the whole thing feel wrong. 6 heirs were named before me. Every single one of them left the house on day 3. No explanation. They just packed their bags and walked away from millions of dollars. At that point, a smart person would have said no, but my bank account wasn't exactly in a position to argue. So 3 days later, I drove up to my grandma's massive countryside mansion with 2 suitcases and a whole lot of motivation. The house looked like something out of an old movie. Huge iron gates, stone walls covered in ivy, acres of quiet land surrounding it. Waiting at the front door was the groundskeeper, a man named Walter. He looked like he'd been there forever. Thin, quiet, and in his 70s with pale blue eyes that studied me carefully. He didn't say hello, he didn't ask my name, he just nodded once and said, "So, you're the 7th." The first 2 days were actually peaceful. I explored the giant library, walked around the gardens, and cooked in a kitchen bigger than my entire apartment. Walter mostly stayed quiet, moving through the house like a shadow. But on the second night, curiosity finally got the better of me, so I asked him directly, "Why did the others leave?" Walter stopped what he was doing and looked at me for a long moment. Then he said something that made the hair on my neck stand up. "Because the house shows people things." I laughed it off. Until night 3. At exactly 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of piano music drifting through the hallway. Slow, clear, perfect notes echoing through the house. Except there was one problem. There was no piano anywhere in the mansion. I had already checked every room. Still, I grabbed my phone and walked downstairs. The moment my foot touched the bottom step, the music stopped. The house went completely silent. No piano, no Walter, nothing. The next morning, I told Walter what I heard. He didn't seem surprised. He just nodded slowly. "Your grandma played that piece every night for 40 years, he said. "Old houses remember." Now I understood why people ran, because the music didn't stop happening. Night 5, night 7, night 10. Most people would have packed their bags and left, but something about it didn't feel random to me. So instead of running, I started searching. On day 20, I finally found the truth. Hidden in my grandma's study was an old journal tucked inside a copy of Meditations. Inside was a note written in her handwriting. It said, "I want to know if my heirs are the kind of people who stay when they don't understand something, or the kind who run away because they're afraid." Then the final line explained everything. The piano music wasn't supernatural. It was a speaker system hidden inside the walls, programmed to play every night at 2 a.m. My grandma wasn't haunting anyone. She was testing them. 30 days later, her lawyer arrived at the mansion with the inheritance paperwork. Walter walked me to the door. Before leaving, he shook my hand for the first time since I arrived. Then he smiled and said quietly, "She would have liked you." And just like that, the mansion and the $80 million inheritance finally became mine.